ready?
Got open man. DJ Moore. End zone. Touchdown. Touchdown Bears.
I am Jeff Joniak.
Blitz is on. Down he goes. Brisker.
What was it like playing for Coach Ditka?
I don't want to answer any questions like that.
Pressure coming. He's in big trouble. Down he goes. Montez Sweat.
And now, Bears Etc. brought to you by Miller Lite with the voices of the Bears, Jeff Joniak and Tom Thayer.
With each snap, each day, the Bears are getting better. We break it down from Hallis Hall with the Bears deep into week 2 and a trip to Soldier Field for Sunday's practice and Fan Fest. We discussed today on episode 156 of the Bears Etc. podcast. And we are brought to you by Miller Lite with Super Bowl winning Bears guard Tom Thayer. I'm Jeff Joniak. Our guest today is the senior national NFL writer from ESPN covering the entire league, Jeremy Fowler. Stopped by Hallis Hall today. And we hear from defensive coordinator Dennis Allen, the weekly podium appearance by starting quarterback Caleb Williams and veteran linebacker Tremaine Edmonds. Padded practices, producing some great analysis from Tom Thayer, but they'll be back in pads on Thursday when this podcast drops. Tom, you've noted some things that have caught your attention, I'm sure. Let's get into some of those. What are sticking out to you here and the live drills and more promised here in the coming days?
So when you start the first day of training camp, even if it's a non-padded practice, you look at every single guy out there, whether they're an experienced veteran like Joe Tooney or a rookie like Colston Loveland. Their heads are spinning. They're going 1,000 miles an hour. Every single word, drill, snap, huddle they hear and they take into account, they're thinking about it. And as you see the process kind of click away from day to day to day, and then things are starting to repetitiously be repeated, then you start watching them and they're looking like an offensive football team. And I do think it's different than defense, the way that offensive, they have to go through the learning process, because it takes a lot more terminology, a lot more bodies, a lot more thinking, a lot more timing to make this thing look like the offense it's ultimately going to be over a period of time. And so I'm excited to see that, because Ben Johnson gets an indication of where and who is as to where they're at this point, who and where they need more reps and who needs more reps. So I like what I'm seeing, and I just want to see the process continue to get better. And as the process continues to get better, then you start getting understanding who's competing where, who's being a leader at the competition, what type of versatility can Ben Johnson have in this offense with the amount of weapons that he has.
Yeah, same story on defense. We can make no assumptions. Dennis Allen, the defensive coordinator, making clear the defense is buzzing. The windows of opportunity for Bears receivers, tight ends, backs have been shrinking ever since the offseason program got underway. They're challenging every throw. They're getting physical. Tysheem Johnson, the 5'10", 195-pound rookie undrafted player out of Oregon, popping players the other day at practice, Tom. Yeah. It's the mark they want to make. They want to be violent. They want to be violent on both sides of the ball and in special teams, and that's starting to take shape, especially on the defensive side.
Well, you see a rookie, the rookie's going, okay, I can see what Andrew Billings is doing. I can see what TJ Edwards is doing. So I better fulfill exactly what's expected out of me, no matter if I'm a first, second, or third team. So I think you have some veterans that are setting the standard, and then you have these young guys that have to live up to it. When I look at the defensive front seven, I look at a guy like Grady Jarrett. He changes the whole defensive front. He has such a quick reaction to the snap count, penetration, leverage, and difficulty to block that he can make other guys be in such a supportive system that, he's helping them. I look at a guy like Javon Dexter being able to use his length to separate from a blocker and make a tackle 3 holes away to his right because of the way he's using the efficiency of his athleticism. So all these little counterparts that start working together on defense, I do think they are on the cusp of having a special group of guys, and you look at the depth of the talent and the different ways that you can deploy these guys. It's going to be interesting to see Dennis Allen when the regular season gets here.
This podcast is brought to you by Miller Lite, the official beer partner of your Chicago Bears. Tastes like Miller time, Chicago. Go to MillerLite.com/BearsPod to find delivery options near you. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces. Dennis Allen at the podium today at Halasaw on some of the good things that are going on defensively, as Tom alluded to, and more, including competition for that number 2 starter at cornerback.
Look, we're not married to any particular package. We're going to explore a lot of different things, a lot of different packages. And we're going to throw a lot of stuff up against the wall. We're going to see what sticks, and ultimately that's what we're going to do. Put our guys in the best position to be successful. And I think I said this the other day. You know, our job as coaches is to find the best 11 to give us the best opportunity to play successful defense, and whatever that package is. You know, is it 3 linebackers? Is it 2 linebackers? Is it 5 DBs, 6 DBs? And that could vary from week to week.
What's your comfort level with your depth at cornerback right now?
Better than it was in the spring. You know, I've seen a lot of improvement from a lot of different guys. You know, I think Nashawn Wright's improved. Guy that's really kind of stood out to me in the last few days, Nick McLeod. Here's a guy that, you know, in the spring I wasn't sure exactly what he was going to be, but he's come back in great shape. He understands the defense. He's doing all the things that Al's coaching him to do, which is allowing him to be successful. So I feel much better about that than I did in the spring. And yet, look, we still got some improvement to do.
From your defensive ends beyond Dial and Sweat, has anybody jumped out?
Well, look, I think we're developing, you know, some depth, you know, at the position. I think we got a lot of guys that, you know, have the capability of playing in our league. You know, obviously I got some experience with Tano. I think he's been a good addition to our group. I think Dom Robinson's a guy that's, you know, improved a lot from where I saw him on tape last year to what I'm seeing right now. And so, but again, with all of these guys, you know, we're going to temper our, you know, evaluations a little bit, and we're going to get into a little bit more live action and just let this competition play out. I mean, there's really not any decisions that are going to be made in the first, you know, couple of weeks of camp. You know, we're going to let this competition play out and, you know, see how it goes.
Obviously, but where would you assess the pass rush from what you saw in the padded practices?
Yeah, I think the pass rush has been good, and I think this. You know, a lot of people talk about pass rush or pass coverage. Those don't happen mutually exclusive. They have to work together. And so for us to have a really good pass rush, we have to have good pass defense. Okay, we have to be able to disrupt routes. We have to be able to change the timing of the routes. So it's not just about our ability to rush the passer, and vice versa. We can be as good as we want to covering these routes, but if we can't win one-on-one matchups up front and be able to get the quarterback off the spot, we're going to struggle in pass defense. So, you know, I think those two things have to work together. And I think overall, throughout the course of camp, I've been pretty pleased with where that's at.
What is Shamar missing with his time out, and what kind of setback is that for a rookie trying to get established?
Well, look, I mean, it's difficult. It's a challenge, you know. So the thing that he has to be able to do right now is number one, attack the rehab and try to get back out as quickly as he can. And then he's got to make sure that he's focused in, you know, in the things that he can do in terms of the meetings, because when we're making corrections on the field or in the meeting room, we're not just making corrections for that particular individual that we might be speaking to. We're speaking to the whole room, you know, and so his ability to comprehend those things in the meeting room, I think, is going to be huge for his development and his progression. And look, it's unfortunate that he had an injury, and so, you know, the game goes on, you know, and so we've got to be able to coach the hell out of the guys that are out there and try to get him back out as quickly as we can. And then once we get him out there, try to get him caught up to speed as quickly as we can.
I get that everybody's competing, but is the number 2 spot completely up for grabs, or does Tyreek or Nashawn have a leg up on anybody else?
I think it's completely up for grabs. I think as you saw it out there today, you know, you saw some different guys going out there with the ones. And I think that's how you develop the very best defense that you can, is create as much competition as you can, and let the tape make the decision. You with me? And that's really what it's about.
So much like they indicated before we ever got to this point, no depth chart, right? There's a lot of assumptions being made, but no depth chart. And that number 2 battle, yes, there were changes on Wednesday in the secondary. Nashawn Wright has been filling that number 1 role with Jalen Johnson out. Jalen Johnson on the mend. Terrell Smith getting snaps, but Tyreek Stevenson also feeling competition here. And so when I hear that the number 2 DB spot, I think it's completely up for grabs. There's some messaging in there, too, I'd imagine.
I'd love to hear that. There's nothing more than I like competition in the defensive backfield, especially at the cornerback position, because to me, and I always say and I'm enunciated, outside cornerback is the most difficult position to play in the NFL. And so if you have an experienced-minded guy like Dennis Allen feeling that there's competition at that position, I really like that, because I think when you look at the amount of defensive backs, you need to have a successful special teams and multiple defensive-backed defenses. It's a great thing to have.
Yep, and other player he mentioned, Nick McLeod, he's been playing well. 5th year, he's a domer. He's a domer, Tommy.
Of course.
Nick McLeod, and, of course, Nashawn Wright's been doing that. Sean Wade, who's also a factor in the special team situation, and then everybody that I mentioned before. So there were 19 defensive backs when training camp started, so something to keep an eye on moving forward. Good news, Chicago. United Airlines is getting brand new planes with all the bells and whistles like Bluetooth connectivity, screens at every seat, and room for everyone's roller bag. United, proud to fly the Chicago Bears, and you too. Another defender, and somebody that's getting a lot of attention, not sure where he'll play. He's not sure to comment on it either. Tremaine Edmonds, a middle linebacker in the old system. It could be that he becomes the weak side linebacker with T.J. Edwards going to the middle. But Tremaine Edmonds, certainly a lot of attention placed on him as he gets ready for this, his 8th NFL season, and a 3rd one with the Chicago Bears.
Offense is complicated as well. You know what I mean? We're trying to get the formations down, and we're trying to just take all the different looks that they're giving us and, put ourselves in position to make those plays out there. But, I think it's going good so far, man. The guys, everybody's out there working hard. Everybody's taking that next step, and that's what we need together as a defense.
What do you like most about DA?
Yeah, I think just his, just his whole demeanor. You know what I mean? It's nasty. We're gonna dominate. That's what it is. And you feel that when he talk. You feel that the way that he coach. You feel that the way that we practice out there as a competitor. It just make you like, yeah, let's do this. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what we want. That's what we want to be. That's our identity, nothing less. And that's what we pride ourselves on. So. Like I said, man, it's a long ways away. That's what training camp is for, man, to master the playbook, and that's what our plan is right now.
I mean, if you had to take an educated guess right now, and whether you'll be playing middle or will when the season starts, what would it be at this point?
Said if I had to take a guess?
Yeah.
I mean, that's out of my control, man. I'm gonna do whatever they put me out there, whatever position I'm out there. They want me to play. I'm gonna do my thing. So you know what I mean. I'm gonna leave that up to the coach.
Man, y'all been playing a lot of dime. What about that package do you like? It leaves you out there as the only backer, but what are y'all trying to get done when y'all bring in that personnel group?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a linebacker, man, so I want my other linebacker on the field with me. But, it's different. It's just a different personnel. There's something that we have in our belt. You know what I mean? If we need to use it, we can use it. I'm pretty sure my guy T want to be out there too. But, it's football. You know what I mean? Obviously, it's a matchup type of game. So whatever the coaches think is the best matchup, they'll put us in position to make the best plays. But, we got a lot of different guys that can play a lot of different positions. You know what I mean? I think it just gives somebody else an opportunity to come out there and play a position. But, whether it's down, whether it's nickel, I got extreme trust in whoever's out there. You know what I mean? So whichever one coaches think is best for us for that particular play or that particular series, I'm all for it. But like I said, man, it just gives us the flexibility to do different things. Obviously he has different calls in certain personnel groupings, but you know what I mean? Whatever one that he called, I know that we got the guys that can get it done.
Jermaine, Dennis Allen said he anticipates you being an exceptional playmaker in this defense. Do you look forward to maybe those opportunities? And do you feel maybe at times the past couple of years you didn't have the chance to be a playmaker as much as you could be?
No, I definitely look forward to it. Every time I step foot on that field, that's my goal. It doesn't matter, scheme, none of that stuff. Like, I know that I'm a playmaker, and that's what the goal is for me every time I step out there. You know what I mean? I see myself making these plays, honestly, when I go to sleep every night. You know what I mean? And I wake up with that on my mind, like, nah, today going to be the day. Today going to be the day. If it don't happen today, it's going to happen tomorrow. And, you know what I mean? Like I said, just his whole scheme, it's definitely gonna be good. It's definitely gonna be good, man. I'm looking forward to it, and it definitely got me going for sure.
What about this defense, maybe specifically, do you think will give you more of a chance to be a playmaker?
I mean, I just not just me. Like I said, I think just the way that he calls it. You know what I mean? It puts different guys in position and make plays. You know what I mean? Once we master that playbook, once we practice day after day after day, and we can come out and really master this thing. I mean, I think guys can figure out where that place is to make plays in this defense. You know what I mean? Okay, this is a play when I can do this. This is a play when I can do this, and that goes across the board. So just putting guys in position now is up to us to go make those plays.
Tom, I think of Tremaine Edmonds. I think of let's make some big plays. He's got the athleticism, the range, the body, the movement skills to really pose a problem for defense. We saw early in camp an interception of Caleb Williams. You can't underestimate his length, and maybe playing the outside linebacker position, even if they only have 2 linebackers on the field, that is a role that may fit his skill set better.
Yeah, he's got the length to defend the passing the middle of the football field and does a nice job of locating and finding the football. But I think if you give him some freedom to slide left and right and able to use his speed, his athleticism, and length, you'll probably have a lot more chase tackles by him. TJ Edwards obviously is a very good instinct reactionary linebacker, but then you have to put Tremaine Edmonds in his most confident athletic position. So take advantage of his length, take advantage of his experience, and like I've heard you say the last couple days, he's still a young guy that's developing. And you're probably going to see as much development out of him this year in this new defense and defensive style that you've seen in his first 6 years in the NFL.
Tommy's 27.
Right. It's a youngster. Kid hasn't even reached his prime yet. So
I mean,
I'm excited that, though, the linebacker coaches and Dennis Allen are kind of thinking outside the box of where his best fitted position is. And we've been here long enough now. We've had that argument about a lot of different linebackers, and the coaches have always prove themselves right.
Are aches, pains, or injuries keeping you on the sidelines? Athletico's movement experts are here to help you turn your setbacks into comebacks and create a personalized game plan for your recovery. With no prescription or referral needed, Athletico Physical Therapy is where your comeback story begins. Athletico, proud to be the official physical therapy partner of the Chicago Bears. Several players missing practice on what was a lighter day and a shorter day of practice on Wednesday. Nobody expected in terms of that to be anything significant and should be back in the short order, back on the practice field. I'm talking about Braxton Jones getting a little break. Also, a leg injury for Jonah Jackson, but nothing appears to be anything significant. But a little refresher with the humidity gone, back at it on Thursday and getting ready for the final days of this second week of the training camp portion.
So you go a couple padded practices in really hot weather, then you have a non-padded practice, then you go back to the padded practice. It's a great barometer for all the coaches. So do guys come out there sluggishly looking to take their time getting ready, or do they come out there and play and have the same physicality that's attached to the style of full padded practices there's already been? You go and you listen to Kyler Gordon at the podium, and he talks about tackling in live practice, and they asked him, have you had that since you've been here? And he says, never. So, okay, now you had a couple, you had a day off. How do you answer that come Thursday? Can't wait for practice.
Yeah, keep hitting. Keep hitting.
Exactly. But it's not about what we're asking you to do, it's how the players do it, and that's what we're looking at.
So that leads me to Caleb Williams, because that's the last piece of the puzzle for this podcast. Presented a very confident approach to answering the questions about where he's at. Let's listen in about that very topic. Where does he think he is right now? Coming out in 3, 2, 1. You heard Caleb. He's always going to answer thoughtfully and with some depth. What do you think what he had to say, and marry it with what you've seen?
Caleb is always great at the podium. He answers things honestly, and he understands the question quickly, and he can tell the media exactly what he wants to tell them in reaction and reflection of the practice. One thing I wish, and I know that you're up in that media room every day, and I would like you to ask the media this. Please stop asking about last year.
Oh, yeah.
Stop asking about everything that went on last year, because it doesn't matter at all. this year and going forward. That's whitewashed. That's out of your brain. And so everything about Caleb is going forward, because when you talk about a quarterback, you're talking about the mental absorption of the system that he's using right now. If I'm a rookie offensive lineman last year, I'm going to say, okay, on this specific style of play, I'm really confident in this technique. This is something that I worked with my offensive tackle, and I know it will work any type of point of attack play or whatsoever. There's a lot of relatable and transferable type of techniques and fundamentals as a lineman, but as a quarterback, stop, because you asking him a question about last year is a waste of time. And so, I think Caleb understands that. Let's talk about the future.
It's just like I heard Jared Goff the other day. Last season is flushed. No matter how good they were, it's flushed. Matters not. Brand new season. Time to get back after it.
Well, this is a whole, yeah, exactly. And, in regards to Caleb and being a rookie with a new head coach, a new system, all the stuff that he has to digest, it doesn't help him to think about last year. It only helps him to think about what plays they're going to install tomorrow in installation.
Hey, Bears fans, Steinhoffels is a proud partner of the Chicago Bears and now open in Orland Park. Steinhoffels is Chicagoland's furniture and mattress leader with the largest selection to fit every style and budget, and is 100% employee-owned. Shop in-store and online at steinhoffels.com. One of the veteran reporters to drop by Halissaw this week, Jeremy Fowler of ESPN, had a chance to catch up with him, looking at all things NFL and the rankings that he put together, polling different coaches, administrators, and scouts around the National Football League, top 10s at each position around the NFL. There's some Bears in there we discuss. All right, we change gears here, and we got a lot of national writers and broadcasters coming in to check out the Bears, as they do every training camp. This one seems a little different, though, with Ben Johnson's arrival. Yes. We welcome Jeremy Fowler from ESPN, one of the NFL insiders traveling around the globe, it looks like, covering training camps, and he's in Chicago today. Am I right on that, about the Ben Johnson intrigue here?
Yes, for sure. I'm eager to see that, maybe more than some other camps I've been to, just because, what's funny, I started in Detroit, and talking to them about their offense in the absence of Ben Johnson, you could tell that they really didn't want Ben Johnson to stay in the division, in the NFC North. I mean, that's an issue because they know how good of a coach he is and how he's going to hold people accountable and how he's going to have some young players drinking through a water hose a little bit early on until they figure out what they can handle, what they can't, and he can always scale it back. But it sounds like early in camp has been a full-court press as far as information and overload, so I'm curious to see if that's starting to even out, if Caleb Williams is starting to get more comfortable with the coaching and kind of ease into the situation a little bit more. Yeah, no question, and that's part of the process, right? It is, and I think it's something that as a professional football player, you're going to deal with that several times in your career, so many changes and so forth. But over the years, did you get to know Ben in any way? A little bit. I didn't know him too well, but we've had a couple of conversations when I've been in Detroit, just saying hello and talking a little football and maybe ask him about a fun play he ran, so. He loves that. Because those are plays that take all week to figure out and run, like you got to work it out, work out the kinks, and it takes a lot. And I think that's why he's hard on these guys, because you have to, every detail matters. Yeah. You've been traveling around. What is it going to be, 9 camps in 9 days? It is, yeah. How the heck are you pulling this off? And I'll probably add some more, too. So I got lucky that all the teams I was visiting, they happened to have a practice day on the day I arrive. A lot of times you have an off day somewhere, which is good for rest purposes, but I tried to get as many days as I could consecutively so I have the option to go home and see the family, but it's good. It's good. You want to just be on the go with these trips and see as many people as you can and move on to the next stop, and that's kind of how it is. So I'm working the AFC and NFC North for the most part. I'll go to Green Bay and Minnesota, so I'll check out the whole division. That'll be good insight for me. There's a symmetry with that because all these teams in those divisions, just the way they go about it. Emphasis on a run game, emphasis on nasty defense, emphasis on special teams. Some of the teams I visit are in pads, some aren't. I happened to go to the Lions when they were in pads, and you could tell how eager they were to get some actual hits in. There was a couple helmets that were flying off. Not physical fighting. It's not the 80s anymore, right? Yeah, right. People aren't knocking each other out. But there was that element of callousing your body to get ready for the season. And Dan Campbell was telling his team after practice, like, hey, if you're not ready to be physical in a practice setting, your teammates are going to notice, and they're going to wonder if they can count on you or trust you in a game setting. So I think that's the message throughout those two divisions in particular. But each camp takes on a different tenor. Like the Browns, when I visited them, 70-minute practice, just a lot of throws for the 4 quarterbacks. That's what I noticed, and that's partly because they have an issue there. They got to figure out who they're going to play. So others will do some heavy work, some hitting. I was at Colts camp yesterday. That was pretty physical. So you can see the full gamut, but definitely early in camp when teams put on the pads, they're eager to do so to let out some of that aggression.
Yeah, for sure. Best evaluation indeed. One of the things that you've been writing about are the top 10 players by position. It's through the whole month of July. And this is a unique one because it's coaches, it's executives, and it's scouts. So there's some really good information here. And we'll dive in it. I'm going to start with the quarterbacks because the Bears are going to play a lot of these on the road. Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Jackson, Jaden, Stafford, Herbert, Goff, Hurts, Mayfield, the top 10. Love with an honorable mention. Purdy, Prescott, Rodgers, all on the Bears schedule. But Burrow, Lamar, Jaden, Hurts, Goff, obviously, Love, all on the road. What did you think of that list, by the way? And actually the inclusion of Stafford at 37 in that list, still pumping and getting the attention of those who make evaluations and decisions.
Yeah, my first reaction to the list when I compiled it and it crystallized is that we're in sort of a golden era of quarterbacks at the top. Those 4 guys, there was a huge drop-off after them, after Lamar Jackson, Burrow, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and these are guys in their late 20s, a combined, I believe, 5 MVPs between them. They'll probably add to that collection. So really good group of future Hall of Famers, you would think. Jaden Daniels being at number 5 was a mild surprise, but he was so good and made such an impression league-wide that it wasn't shocking. And yeah, you look at the NFC North, you got 2 guys there in Jared Goff and Jordan Love who are at the top, or at least in that sort of top 8 to 12 range, which is a pretty exclusive club. After that, there was a big drop-off in the voting. So those are guys that have good weapons around them and are going to be right in the mix in the North. So, yeah, and you look at Caleb Williams, he didn't get much traction this year, I think, because of the up-and-down rookie year, but he's a guy where if he was in the top 10 next year, it wouldn't shock me. If he had another season where he struggled, it wouldn't shock me. It feels like anything's possible right now because the ceiling with him is so high. So I think next year, assuming he takes to Ben Johnson's coaching and he has enough around him, I could see him being in the mix next year.
Yeah. Do you feel that the weaponry is more than satisfactory? You got the 2 tight ends, obviously, and Cole and Colston. Continuing excellence of DJ Moore. You got Roma Dunze's on the precipice, and hopefully Luther Burden III as well, plus DeAndre Swift. I mean, there's one ball, many weapons kind of philosophy going on.
Right.
I saw, I think it was the 33rd team put this up, all the division, the quarterbacks, the receivers, the tight ends, the backs. I mean, the division's loaded with talent.
No doubt. But they have the pieces for sure. Yeah. And, the offensive line, a couple questions maybe about left tackle. I think Braxton Jones will end up being okay and working his way into that job. But, yeah, as far as the skill positions and what the Bears can be, the possibilities do feel pretty endless. And with the 2 tight ends especially, that's what I'm curious to watch today. Because when I was in Pittsburgh, they added Jonnu Smith with Pat Freiermuth. So you have 2 really good tight ends. And you could feel the difference. Like they were going to those guys early. They were moving them around everywhere. There's just so much you can do with 2 good tight ends. So I like the Cole Kmet, Colson-Loveland pairing. Loveland he was one of those guys that pre-draft was the hottest name. He ended up going really high, higher than maybe the media thought, but you were hearing that in league circles of he was just a premier guy. So the fact that you can maybe go 3rd and 8 and run 2 tight ends, 12 personnel, like that gives you flexibility that you can throw teams off a little bit. Yep. So I'm eager to see that. And then, it seems like from all that I've read and seen that Roma Dunze is working his way into, if not a number 1, yet a 1A or B type, So sure. I'm curious to see that connection.
And then on the offensive line, obviously the additions on the interior. Joe Thuney coming in at number 6, interior offensive lineman. So many good qualities to him. Is that maybe the biggest move the Bears made, in your opinion, if you were evaluating it?
It's probably the safest bet they made, I would say. Probably the steadiest move. But he's just one of the best technicians in the NFL.
The technique is impressive.
It's really good. I mean, his hands are elite. Like he's one of those guys where he might not look imposing, but when he gets his mitts on you, you're done. So, that he's going to be a stalwart. You know what you're getting. He's durable. He's going to play all 17. Obviously you don't want to have to put him at left tackle. You don't want to have to be in that kind of bind like the Chiefs were in last year, but really solid. So I like they got adults in the room, so to speak, in that interior offensive line.
And the highest rated players on the Bears outside of Tooney, Tremaine Edmonds at number 6 linebacker, and Jalen Johnson, the 8th corner. So two big pieces right there, especially with the way Dennis Allen and what he wants to do, pressing up, being physical, being very much a get after it, knock back defensive front. How this impacts a guy like Tremaine Edmonds as well. But what's your view of Dennis Allen's defense and those two key components right there?
I think the Bears staff had been pleased, especially in the spring and early on, that Edmonds had used his range and athleticism to get his hands on some passes. They're like, okay, we got something here. I think ideally they'd like to have him involved in more ball disruption. The talent is so immense. Yeah. And you can really put him in any scheme, true 3-down linebacker, just the range, length, and speed you can't teach.
And still young, jeez.
Still very young, yeah. So I think if you're, building a team from scratch, or you're picking 10 players at a position, he's always going to go high for like the scouts who see everything you need to see with that guy.
Anything brewing in terms of big stories? I know Trey Hendrickson. Is he going to be a hold in, or is he going to actually suit up?
Trey I would be surprised if he went out to practice today. I think part of the strategy will be that, he's there, he's visible. These hold-ins are becoming more effective, I feel like. Micah Parsons.
Save you $50,000 a day.
Right. The money's crazy. Now, if the Bengals could have got a deal done in short order, they could have put some sack incentives in there where he would have easily made that money back. But, it's tough. So, like Jamar Chase last year did it, and that was a good playbook for Trey Hendrickson. He just was hanging around in sweats all day, and he's visible, and the media sees him every day, So that's maybe that entices the team a little bit to get something done. But the Bengals they're tough, man. They are
historically.
They are comfortable being uncomfortable when it comes to money. So I just don't know. It's a guaranteed money issue, but the actual money they're offering him is pretty good. So we'll see if he takes it eventually.
All right, last question. Saw you looking at your watch. I respect your time.
Oh no, you're good.
What are you most curious? You mentioned one thing you're curious about the Bears, but what are you curious about learning from your visit here to Hallis Hall?
So part of my intrigue is sort of like lessons learned from a number 1 pick a little bit and what the changes are, because I'm looking at the landscape. We talked about Cincinnati. Joe Burrow had success. The Bengals surrounded him with the right things in year 1 for a number 1 pick. The last 2 number 1 picks for Cam Ward, it's been a struggle, right? Bryce Young, you saw it. Caleb Williams, you saw it. Bryce Young was able to turn the page a little bit. Caleb Williams is trying to do that now. And then the Titans have Cam Ward. So I'm kind of looking into that common thread of number 1 picks and what a struggle that can be if you don't have the right voices in their ear, or maybe just one voice, synergy with the coaching staff. All that's so important. And so, Ben Johnson has a reputation as a great offensive coach, and I want to kind of see that firsthand and then try to identify what the difference was from last year, because you heard so many stories coming out of Chicago, and now it seems to be streamlined and maybe more about the football, which is good.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you being here and covering our Chicago Bears, and good luck with the rest of your training camp journey.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Appreciate it. A bunch of things to look at. Everybody's coming in. They want to see the Ben Johnson-Caleb Williams connection, where the improvements are coming. And that is the big visit. That's why they're coming. They want to see Ben Johnson go to work and help Caleb in the offense. But there's so many other things also going on, and they're intrigued. They're intrigued by what is happening here in Chicago with the Bears on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, it's hard not to be. A guy like Jeremy Fowler, he comes up, and the first thing he wants to do when he looks at practice is from the moment they break the huddle to either the ball is handed off by Caleb or thrown by Caleb. And how does the whole offense interact with him in terms of motion, snap count, making sure that everybody understands their assignment. Yeah, it's easy to recognize that Joe Tooney is a premier technician and one of the best at his position with all of his experience, and he's proven to be great. But I think anybody from the people that we get to see on a daily basis that are coming into practice for the first time to a guy that has a lot of NFL experience and he's been around a bunch of camps. Even the guys like that, their eyes gravitate towards the quarterback, and that's what they're going to come to look at every day, every practice they have a chance.
Here's what those analysts, well, they're not analysts, they're the guys in the professional seats around the NFL, said about Joe Thuney. One was an AFC executive, complete package, speed, athletic ability, hand placement, toughness, instincts. Coaches say he's got elite grip strength. Once attached to a D lineman, he's hard to shake. All technique, instincts, and smarts with Joe, said one AFC executive, among other things. But everything that you saw, we both commented about the technique that he has is very evident and outstanding.
No, the thing that could probably help the Bears the most in Joe, how impressed that I've been by all of the fundamentals and the techniques and everything, is how much that he can expedite the learning of the three offensive tackles. When you have Braxton, you have Karan, and you have Ozzie all fighting for that spot, they can have conversations with Joe Thuney, not only because he played the position, but he's been playing left guard for all those years. And there's so many instances of explanation that Joe can give these guys that can expedite their learning curve tenfold on a daily basis.
How do you tell a cashier you're a Bears fan without telling him you're a Bears fan? Well, with the Chicago Bears PNC Bank Visa debit card, it gets you exclusive discounts on Bears merchandise. Find out more at pnc.com/BearsCard. Tom, story that the Chicago Sun-Times broke about the Bears, and the Bears have since also put out they're going to honor the matriarch, Virginia McCaskey. Chairman George McCaskey telling the Sun-Times a uniform patch similar to the 83 GSH tribute, and that will be a football-shaped patch with Virginia's initials inside for every game this year. The patch will be placed on the players' jerseys above their hearts. The football is orange with navy stitching and a white outline. The navy M outlined in white and larger than the other two letters, V to the player's right, H for Hallis to the left. Outstanding, great, and no throwbacks. That's another thing. No alternate jerseys. The Bears are going to go standard navy, white, navy helmets at home, white jerseys, navy pants, and navy helmets on the road. Thoughts?
Every single day that I walk into Hallis Hall and I see the picture that they have there of Virginia McCaskey, it gives you that such a reminder that we should salute her every day. She's not only, the former, owner of the Bears. She's just an incredible human being. And she did so many things behind the scenes that she never wanted attention for, but she's just absolutely such a sweet person, and she will be missed dearly, but she'll be remembered every day.
Yep, the stitching now can be there. She's there every snap. Every snap now. Every snap for perpetuity. The Bears also honoring your good friend Steve McMichael, the ALS finally taking him in April, a helmet sticker, and that will be the same design on the turf at Soldier Field this year for 76, Big Tom.
Well deserved. This guy gave his life to football, and he was one of the kindest, greatest teammates, toughest, committed football players that anybody would be happy to be a teammate of, and nobody more than me. I just love the guy to death.
Join us for a day of fun, family, and football. Bears Family Fest tickets are on sale now. Visit chicagobears.com/familyfest for more details. Yeah, we'll be there Sunday. Hopefully the weather cooperates and all the Lollapalooza
weather's
traffic.
Gonna be beautiful.
No, Lollapalooza traffic will wait till after practice so we can get there and enjoy the day. How about it?
They can be coming in when we're going out. So I think it'll all work. The Sunday night game against Buffalo is the same day as the Air and Water show.
Oh,
so
wow.
That is going to be the crazy one.
Thanks for the heads up, Big Tom.
I know.
All right, you got any final thoughts, or we're out of here? Which one?
No, my final thought is I can't wait to do the podcast next because I think we're going to get an indicator of where the Bears are when you have a day. Every single coach I ever played for in my life, the biggest indicator was the football team is how they reacted full pads after a day off. And we're going to see a man punch in the face Thursday, and I just cannot wait for that practice.
All right, Tommy, we'll see you up here. For Tom Thayer, I'm Jeff Joniak. Thanks for listening, everybody. Please subscribe now on the Chicago Bears official app, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Bear down, everybody.